Tonight, we're diving into the world of dusty sandals, ancient kings, and a man named Isaiah, who's about to make waves in Judah. Picture this: you're on a sun-soaked hill in Jerusalem, the air thick with the scent of olive groves and distant altar smoke. It's a wild time. Kingdoms are splitting apart faster than your last Tinder date, and people are caught in a whirlwind of faith and fear. You might stumble over a goat, surviving a week without Wi-Fi or coffee. It feels like eons ago. But stick around, we've got a front row seat to history in the making. So, before you settle in, do us a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. We'd love to have you along for this crazy ride. And hey, if you're down for more history adventures after this, drop a comment below. We're eager to hear where you're joining us from. What time is it there? It's like a time zone scavenger hunt. So let's dive in. Imagine yourself transported back in time to the ancient land of Judah. It's a scorching afternoon in Jerusalem. The year is 740 BC and the mighty kingdom of Assyria is stirring, casting a long shadow over Judah. That's a mouthful. To understand Isaiah's story, we first have to rewind a bit. Think of it as a mini history lesson. But don't worry, we'll keep it juicier than a pomegranate. Around 930 BC, a powerful king named Jeroboam II took the throne of Israel. Fast forward to 783 BC and his successor Hoshea finds himself in hot water when the Assyrians demand tribute. Now the Assyrians are no joke. They're like the bully at the school cafeteria, except they have chariots. With Hoshea unable to pay up, the Assyrians decide to lay siege to the city of Samaria, the capital of Israel. It's a brutal 3-year siege, and by 722 BC, the city falls. Many Israelites are deported, and the northern kingdom of Israel ceases to exist. Isaiah plays witness to this dramatic turn of events, understanding the profound implications for his own kingdom of Judah. Meanwhile, the southern kingdom of Judah is basking in the glory of King Hezekiah. Under his reign, Jerusalem. In the year 716 BC, the Assyrian king, Sennacherib, sets his sights on conquering Judah. He targets the fortified city of but Hezekiah forms an alliance with the Egyptians to defend his land. When Sennacherib receives word that the Egyptians are on their way, he changes his tune. He sends a letter to Hezekiah offering a peace deal. Hezekiah celebrates, believing that his kingdom is safe. In the midst of this changing political landscape, we meet Isaiah. Born in Jerusalem around 740 BC, he hails from the Levite family of David, tracing his lineage back to the legendary King David. This gives him a unique perspective and authority as he delivers his prophetic messages. From the start, Isaiah is no ordinary man. During a vision, he sees the Lord enthroned high and lifted up, surrounded by seraphim, celestial beings who sing praises to the divine. These seraphim symbolize holiness and devotion. Their 6 wings represent complete surrender to God, always ready to serve. The experience leaves Isaiah feeling deeply aware of his own limitations. He cries out, "Woe to me," realizing that he needs God's help to fulfill his purpose. This moment is a pivotal point in Isaiah's journey, setting him on the path to become a major player in Judean history. As the years go by, Isaiah emerges as a central figure during a period of significant change and upheaval. He becomes the voice of God, delivering messages that challenge the religious leaders and shake the foundations of society. His prophecies are a mix of judgment for those who stray from righteousness and hope for those who remain faithful. He speaks of a Messiah who will save his people from sin, death, and the devil, a beacon of light in the darkness. Now, fast forward to Isaiah chapter 36. Things are heating up. King Sennacherib of Assyria is paying Judah another visit. Remember him? He's still causing trouble, and he sends his elite soldier Rabshakeh to put pressure on Hezekiah to surrender. Rabshakeh confronts the Jews gathered in Jerusalem near the wall of the city. He taunts them with promises of Assyrian victory, tempting them to switch sides and join the winning team. Rabshakeh implies that the gods of Judah, including Yahweh, are powerless against the great gods of Assyria. It's like a cosmic playground, but with higher stakes. However, Isaiah steps in and boldly predicts that Jerusalem will be destroyed. He emphasizes that the city's escape will be as futile as a bird escaping from a snare or a fish leaping from a hook. Isaiah urges the people not to resist the Assyrians and instead to surrender without delay. It might seem like a surprising move, but remember, Isaiah has a broader perspective. He sees the bigger picture of God's plan, and in his view, surrendering to the Assyrians is part of a divine strategy. But hold on, because there's a twist. Before the people of Jerusalem lose hope entirely, Isaiah shares some good news. He reassures them that a remnant of Judah will escape destruction. This message offers a glimmer of hope, showing that even in the darkest moments, God has a way of working. Despite the dire warnings, Hezekiah continues to trust in Yahweh, believing in a miraculous intervention. While Isaiah focuses on the inevitable, Hezekiah clings to the belief that God will intervene supernaturally to save Jerusalem. After this tense standoff, the Assyrians take over the city and leave Rabshakeh behind with orders to capture Hezekiah alive. But here's where things take a comical turn. When Rabshakeh tries to taunt Hezekiah, he gets more than he bargained for. Hezekiah doesn't panic. Instead, he takes it in stride, treating Rabshakeh as if he were just another messenger delivering bad news. As the days pass, the Assyrian army faces unexpected setbacks. They realize that it's not going to be the piece of cake they expected. Meanwhile, Hezekiah and Isaiah stay put in Jerusalem, calmly waiting for the outcome. Then, in a shocking move, the Assyrian army withdraws. What? Well, according to the Bible, God intervenes, sending an angel to kill 185,000 soldiers in the Assyrian camp. That's a hefty casualty count. Soon, Sennacherib, the mastermind behind the invasion, is killed in his own palace by two of his sons. It's like a royal rumble in the jungle, but without the lions. As for Rabshakeh, he heads back to the Assyrian king with his tail between his legs, having failed to carry out his mission. The invasion ends with more questions than answers. Sennacherib's successors continue to harass Judah, but never again do they come so close to conquering Jerusalem. After this dramatic encounter, Isaiah keeps delivering his messages, focusing on themes of trusting God, judgment for evil, and the promise of a coming Messiah. One of his most famous prophecies foretells the virgin birth of Emmanuel, a child born of a virgin. This prophecy adds a layer of intrigue and mystery to the narrative, leaving readers to ponder its deeper meaning. Throughout Isaiah's journey, he faces opposition and persecution for his unwavering commitment to God's message. Yet he remains steadfast, serving as a guiding light in a world teetering on the brink of chaos. Hey, if you made it this far, you're officially a history buff for sticking around. As the sun sets on our adventure tonight, we want to hear from you. How did Isaiah's story impact you? Drop a comment below. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and subscribe for more history. We've got more stories waiting to unfold. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember, history is more than just dates and facts. It's a living, breathing tapestry of humanity's journey. Thanks for being a part of it. Picture this. You've been transported back to 740 BC, and you find yourself in the bustling streets of Jerusalem. You're surrounded by the sights, sounds, and smells of daily life in Judah. During King Uzziah's reign, the year before, a terrible volcanic eruption in what is now Italy had thrown the entire Mediterranean into chaos, impacting trade and bringing economic hardship to many places. But here in Judah, there's a different story. King Uzziah has brought peace and prosperity to the land. People from all over the region come to Jerusalem to trade and do business. It's a melting pot of cultures and ideas, and you're eager to experience it all. You're in Judah with the sun dipping low, casting long shadows across the lively streets of Jerusalem. The city buzzes like an endless festival, vendors shouting about ripe pomegranates, kids weaving between carts, and the distant sound of a blacksmith's hammer. Following young Isaiah, who navigates this chaos with a focused squint, as if deciphering an unseen puzzle. You sense the prosperity under King Uzziah's reign, reminiscent of a golden filter over a harsh reality. Yet, like Isaiah, you notice not everyone is thriving. The wealthy construct mansions, while others live in shacks, and the gap widens rapidly. It's a city of contrasts, and you're immersed in its pulse, feeling its sacred yet flawed essence. You push through the crowds, making your way to the bustling marketplace. The energy here is palpable, a blend of bartering merchants and curious onlookers. In the distance, you hear the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer, mingling with the bleating of sheep and the lowing of cattle. Up ahead, you spot Isaiah standing by a stall overflowing with spices, his eyes scanning the colorful array. Cinnamon and saffron waft through the air, mingling with the aroma of roasting lamb nearby. Merchants in vibrant robes beckon you closer, their smiles as bright as the jewels adorning their garments. Some remind you of used car salesmen, their charm a tad too polished. You catch sight of a weathered man holding out a wrinkled pomegranate, its skin as red as the clay houses dotting Jerusalem's hills. You buy it and pop it open, surprised by the burst of sweet juice staining your fingers and dripping down your chin. Each mouthful is a delightful explosion of flavor, resonating with the energy of this vibrant city. As you weave through the market, you glimpse Isaiah lingering by a temple gate, his gaze fixed on a priest before him. The priest holds aloft an ornate censer, releasing billowing clouds of incense that twist and turn, ascending like an unanswered prayer. The smoke mingles with the scent of roasting meat from a nearby vendor, creating a strange yet captivating aroma. Lost in thought, you watch the smoke drift skyward, wondering where it will end up and what it signifies. You spot Isaiah standing before an imposing structure, its grandeur momentarily eclipsing the bustling crowd around it. This must be the temple, the holiest site in Jerusalem. As you approach, you hear the murmur of countless voices reciting prayers and scriptures. The air crackles with anticipation and reverence. Inside, amidst the towering pillars and intricate carvings, you see people dropping small objects into a collection box. You observe Isaiah watching a group of men unloading goods from a cart. They unload jars of oil, boxes of perfume and bundles of wool, neatly arranging them on a table. The merchant, a portly man with shrewd eyes, inspects each item carefully, his fingers lingering on a jar of oil as if testing its quality. You notice a woman haggling over the price of a shawl, her voice echoing through the cavernous space. The merchant counters, his tone laced with humor, and the two engage in a playful banter. It feels like their old acquaintances catching up, the bargaining a mere formality. You see Isaiah standing by a wall adorned with clay tablets inscribed with ancient laws and teachings. His eyes scan the worn script, a thoughtful expression gracing his face. As you stand beside him, you run a finger along the rough surface of the tablets, marveling at the enduring legacy of these ancient words. Their faded ink speaks of generations past, their stories carried on the wind through the ages. Amidst the hustle and bustle of the marketplace, you see Isaiah standing next to a landowner engaged in a heated discussion with a poor farmer. The farmer, his face creased with worry, clutches a crumpled piece of parchment in his hand, likely a record of his debts and obligations. His calloused fingers speak of a life spent toiling in the fields. The landowner, resplendent in fine robes, listens impassively, his arms crossed, conveying his disinterest in the farmer's plight. You notice a young boy, no older than 10, with a head full of unruly curls and dirt smudged on his cheeks, standing beside the farmer, his gaze fixed on the landowner. It's a look of intense concentration, as if committing every detail to memory. You realize it's Isaiah, witnessing his father's struggle firsthand. The image is seared into your memory, leaving you unsettled. The day wears on, and you find yourself drawn back to the market. The scene is slightly different now. The sunlight slants through the stalls, casting long shadows that dance with the midday heat. You see Isaiah standing by a group of men, his attention focused on a weathered map spread on the ground. The men discuss routes and timelines, their voices hushed, their expressions grim. The map, marked with faded ink, shows treacherous mountain passes and winding desert trails, hinting at the dangers that lie ahead. You sense the weight of their words, realizing they're strategizing a desperate escape from the encroaching armies. As the sun climbs higher, you find yourself drawn to the tranquil oasis of an artificial pool nestled in the heart of Jerusalem. The water, crystal clear, reflects the azure sky above, providing a soothing contrast to the vibrant chaos of the marketplace. Resting on a nearby ledge, you see Isaiah gazing at the shimmering surface, his eyes filled with wonder. The tranquility of the moment is palpable, a brief respite from the city's relentless energy. Later, as evening descends, casting long shadows across the city, you accompany Isaiah to a sprawling estate where King Uzziah resides. Passing through the ornate gates, you enter a world of luxury and opulence. Lush gardens adorned with marble fountains greet you, their gentle cascades harmonizing with the soft strum of a harp. Inside the palace, you're met with a spectacle of riches. Gold and silver adorn every surface, their brilliance amplified by flickering candlelight. On one side, a scribe meticulously copies ancient texts, his quill scratching across the parchment, his brow furrowed in concentration. Opposite him, an artisan hammers a silver goblet, his rhythmic strikes echoing through the vast hall. Around you, courtiers clad in silks whisper amongst themselves, their voices hushed in reverence for the king. Suddenly, King Uzziah appears, striding towards you, his presence commanding attention. His regal attire, embroidered with gold thread, glistens under the crystal chandeliers, and a golden crown rests majestically atop his head. You feel a surge of awe mixed with apprehension as you meet the gaze of this powerful ruler. As night blankets Jerusalem, you find yourself captivated by the ethereal glow emanating from the temple. The sight is mesmerizing, as if the building itself is radiating otherworldly light. Drawn to its splendor, you follow Isaiah through the moonlit streets towards the temple, eager to witness the evening rituals firsthand. Now, standing within the temple's hallowed halls, you're enveloped by a sense of serenity. The air vibrates with a profound stillness, broken only by the soft murmurs of evening prayers. The sight before you is both humbling and inspiring, the radiant glow bathing the ancient stones in an otherworldly loop. The sight of so many people gathered in devotion, united by their faith, fills you with a sense of community and belonging. Walking alongside Isaiah, you pass through bustling marketplaces teeming with merchants hawking their wares. You stop at a stall laden with aromatic spices, their vibrant colors and intoxicating scents filling the air. Isaiah examines a jar of cinnamon, his fingers tracing the embossed lid, as the merchant recounts tales of faraway lands where such treasures are unearthed. Later, you find yourself seated at a rough wooden table in a small tavern, nursing a mug of warm cider. The room is dimly lit, the air thick with the aroma of roasted meat and stale ale. Around you, weary travelers share stories of their journeys, their voices weaving tales of adventure and intrigue. The tavern keeper, a stout woman with a booming laugh, pours another round of ale, her eyes twinkling with mirth. In the corner, a group of musicians tunes their instruments, their melodies blending into a rousing tune that fills the tavern. It's a simple pleasure, a humble gathering, yet it resonates with a rustic charm that warms your spirit. Over time, you grow to appreciate the nuances of life in Jerusalem, the cadence of its people, their hopes and dreams, and their fears. You see Isaiah standing at the edge of town, his gaze fixed on the road leading to the wilderness. His shoulders are slumped, his eyes distant. He's contemplating the gravity of his calling, the responsibility of being chosen to lead his people out of darkness and into the light of faith. The setting sun casts long shadows on the ground, mirroring the depth of his thoughts. As you continue your journey alongside Isaiah, you discover a profound truth. The path to greatness is rarely smooth. It's paved with challenges, doubts, and moments of despair. Yet it's in these very struggles that the true essence of a leader is forged. Isaiah's story is a testament to this, a beacon illuminating the arduous path towards enlightenment. You're back in the bustling streets of Jerusalem, the air thick with the aroma of spices and woods. Towering walls of sun-baked brick enclose the city, hiding the dirt road that leads to the infamous Kidron Valley. This place, though, is all about contrasts. On one side, the valley is a dumping ground, a graveyard of broken dreams and discarded animals. But on the other side, across a stretch of land that might look like a cow pasture to you, is the Temple Mount, Judaism's spiritual crown jewel. But for Isaiah, the journey between these two sides is a metaphor for the spiritual crisis of his people. And he's not the only one seeing it. The prophet Micah from Moresheth Gath is also sounding the alarm, painting a grim picture of the same social ills that Isaiah sees every day. Like them, you've seen the rich exploiting the poor, heard the pleas of the hungry, witnessed the tears of widows and orphans. Even the religious leaders aren't spared. Micah calls them out for their love of luxury, making it clear that God doesn't take kindly to his house being turned into a den of thieves. If the Bible had YouTube comments, this would be where they'd read the most brutal roast ever. God compares Israel's leaders to shepherds who feed themselves from the choice parts of the flock and neglect their duty like wolves that ravish and destroy what is feeble. It's harsh, but it's a wake-up call, a message that says things have gotten so bad that even the most sacred ground is being tainted. And you feel it, too. The weight of these words settles on you like a heavy blanket. But where Isaiah sees potential for change, Micah offers a stark warning. He predicts a coming doom, a punishment so severe it shakes the foundations of society. As you listen to Micah speak, you can almost hear the echoes of Amos, another prophet whose messages of social justice and divine retribution shook the kingdom of Israel to its core. There's a continuity here, a lineage of voices that refuse to stay silent in the face of injustice. But unlike Amos, Micah's words carry an urgency that feels like a ticking clock. His prediction of exile hangs in the air, a constant reminder that the situation is dire. In the background, the rhythmic clang of hammers echoes as craftsmen work diligently on the temple, oblivious to the shadow of destruction looming over their creation. The irony is thick, like the smoke rising from a barbecue. As God prepares to grill his people for their transgressions, you feel a sense of foreboding, knowing that no amount of human effort can stop what's coming. The magnificent temple, a symbol of Judah's devotion, is doomed, and nothing, not even the finest craftsmanship, can alter that fate. You're standing in the shadow of the Temple Mount, listening to the rhythmic chanting of worshippers. The air is thick with incense, and the low hum of prayer blends with the soft shuffle of feet on ancient stones. But despite the beauty of it all, you can feel the tension coiling beneath the surface like a snake ready to strike. Micah's words echo in your ears. You've heard tales of how God judges nations, how empires crumble when they stray too far from his path. And as you watch families pray, you can't help but wonder if God's patience is wearing thin. You think of the prophets before Micah, men like Isaiah and Hosea, who have walked this very ground, delivering messages of hope and warnings of doom. They tried to steer the people back to the right path, but were they ignored, or worse, silenced? You're not sure. But as you stand there, the question hits you like a punch to the gut. What if the same thing happens to Micah? The thought sends a chill down your spine. The prospect of such a powerful voice being cut short is unsettling. The notion that someone would want to silence a prophet like Micah is chilling. It raises questions about the nature of power, the lengths people will go to protect their interests, and the cost of speaking truth to power. You can feel the weight of history pressing down on you, the countless stories of prophets who dared to challenge the status quo at their own peril. You're pulled out of your thoughts by a sudden commotion. The crowd stirs, whispers ripple through the worshippers, and the tranquility of the moment is shattered. Your gaze shifts to a group of men advancing towards Micah. Their faces are stern, their voices authoritative, and their presence exudes an undeniable power. You'll recognize them as the elite guard of King Assyria. Their loyalty lies with the king, not with the God of Abraham. And as they approach Micah, you can't shake off the feeling that this encounter won't end well. It's like witnessing the calm before a storm, the last moments of peace before the chaos erupts. You find yourself holding your breath, fearing what's to come. In the next moment, everything changes. The rhythmic chants of prayer are replaced by shouts and angry murmurs. The peaceful atmosphere is shattered, leaving behind an eerie silence. The worshippers part, revealing Micah standing defiantly before the elite guard. His face is set with determination, his eyes blazing with an unwavering resolve. You can almost hear his words echoing through the stunned silence. Hear this, you rulers of Israel, the words of Micah against you, the men of Judah, and all you inhabitants of Jerusalem, and assemble yourselves that he may indict you. It's a challenge, a confrontation between the voice of God and the powers that be. The elite guard exchange glances, their expressions hardening. You can sense the conflict brewing between them, a clash of loyalties, a struggle between blind obedience and divine revelation. In that charged atmosphere, you realize you're witnessing a pivotal moment. The outcome of this confrontation will have profound consequences, shaping the fate of Micah and perhaps the very future of Judah. The standoff intensifies, each side digging in their heels. You're caught in the crossfire of their animosity, feeling the tension building like a storm cloud gathering on the horizon. You know that a reckoning is near. Suddenly, the calm is shattered. One of the elite guards steps forward, his voice laced with hostility. He accuses Micah of stirring up trouble, of challenging the authority of the king. The crowd stirs, murmurs of agreement rippling through the ranks. The narrative shifts, framing Micah as a troublemaker, his prophetic message twisted into a tool for sowing discord. The situation spirals. More members of the elite guard join the fray, their voices echoing the sentiment of their leader. They denounce Micah, casting him as a threat to the stability of Judah. The crowd swells, their anger intensifying. The very foundation of the gathering trembles under the weight of their hostility. You can feel the heat of their animosity, the palpable desire to silence the dissenting voice. In that charged atmosphere, Micah stands firm. He knows the danger he faces, but his resolve remains unshaken. He's not just a prophet. He's a beacon of truth in a sea of deception. You admire his courage, the way he stands undeterred in the face of overwhelming odds. But as the situation worsens, you fear for his safety. The crowd's animosity is like a physical force, threatening to engulf Micah and snuff out his prophetic flame. You hold your breath, unsure of what will happen next. Will they drag him away? Will they banish him from the city? Or worse, will they silence him permanently? The outcome is uncertain, and the suspense is agonizing. But one thing is clear. Micah's confrontation has exposed the fault lines running through Judah, the clash between blind obedience and divine revelation, between maintaining the status quo and embracing change. The story of Micah is a testament to the courage it takes to speak truth to power. It is a reminder that the path of righteousness is often paved with opposition and that silencing dissenting voices is a dangerous game. You stand there, witnessing the unraveling of a kingdom and the unwavering spirit of a prophet who dared to stand against the tide. Now get ready for some serious brain food. Check out this video to learn more about the incredible journeys of the major prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah and Ezekiel. And if you're hungry for even more, don't forget to subscribe. You're walking toward the Judean desert now, the setting sun turning the sky into a bruised peach. Jerusalem's buzz fades behind you and you're focused on the road ahead. Well, more like the donkey beneath you. Turns out, riding isn't as chill as it looks. You're hanging on for dear life, bouncing along like your grandma on a bad date. And let's just say those ancient saddle pads weren't lying. Your rear end is aching like it's auditioning for the role of Donkey in Shrek. Despite the bumpy ride, you've got company. Young Isaiah's shadowing you, quiet but observant, taking in the sights and sounds. Now, you wouldn't guess it to look at him, but he's got that far away look like he's pondering life's big questions, maybe wondering why donkeys don't have seatbelts. You can't blame him. It's not like there's a lot of action in a Judean village. Sure, you've got farmers arguing over fig prices and shepherds gossiping with goats, but that's about as thrilling as it gets, at least until trouble arrives. Trouble. You might be thinking, what's trouble? But here's the thing. Even in peaceful times, life was rough. Roads were bumpy, crops sometimes failed and bandits occasionally made an appearance. Plus, there were wild animals, poisonous plants, and scorching summers. Life back then was basically one long game of don't die. Even the good times came with risks. Trade could bring wealth, but also disease. And parties were fun, but you always ran the risk of getting stabbed by the wrong guy at the wrong time. Back then, survival was a daily challenge, and you had to be street smart to navigate it. You couldn't just rely on being nice or expecting others to bail you out. It was every man for himself. Oh, and if you lived in a city, you had to deal with garbage piling up, neighbors playing loud music and leaders deciding your taxes were too low. Yeah, some things never change. Back then, though, the odds were stacked against you. Most people were poor and sick, and if you messed up, there wasn't much safety net. No health insurance, no unemployment checks, no one to call for help. You were on your own. It was a dog-eat-dog world, and only the sharpest, most adaptable survived. So let's think about that next time you complain about a paper cut or spilled coffee. At least you're not dodging poisonous snakes or trying to barter for food. But seriously, watch your step. One wrong move back then, and you might have ended up as someone's dinner. It was a brutal reality, and it forced people to be tough, cunning, and If you were soft or naive, you got chewed up and spat out. There was no room for weakness. And let's not forget the societal pressure. Back then, you were judged by a different set of rules. Marriage prospects depended on your reputation. Neighbors kept tabs on your every move and gossip spread faster than wildfire. It was like living in a fishbowl with binoculars. And let's not start about rival gangs. It was a constant game of chicken, trying to outmaneuver and outsmart them. Trust me, teenage gang rivalries now seem like child's play compared to that. Those were the stakes back then, and you had to constantly be on guard, ready to fight, scheme or run. It was exhausting, but somehow people managed to find moments of joy, community and connection amidst all the chaos. They formed tight-knit communities, shared stories, and found solace in rituals and celebrations. They found ways to laugh, love, and hope, despite the darkness all around them. The road's rough, but you're nearing the end of your journey. In the distance, you spot a group of shepherds tending to their flock. You recognize them from earlier, gathered around their fire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames as they share stories and jokes. Their laughter echoes through the valley, momentarily dispelling the shadows that have been lengthening as the sun dips lower in the sky. You dismount, your legs protesting after hours in the saddle. As you approach the shepherds, they fall silent, their eyes curious and perhaps a bit wary. You can sense their hesitation, the instinctive caution that comes from a life spent navigating the rugged terrain of these hills. They've learned to trust their instincts, to be wary of strangers, and to expect the unexpected. You understand their skepticism. In this unforgiving landscape, kindness wasn't always genuine, and motives could be as treacherous as the rocky terrain. These men have seen their fair share of hardship, betrayal, and loss. Their lives have been shaped by the harsh realities of this world, forcing them to become masters of survival. Their weathered faces and calloused hands are testaments to a life lived in close communion with the land and its challenges. You know that for them, every sunrise was a victory, every harvest a blessing, and every full moon a reminder of the relentless passage of time. One of the shepherds, an older man with eyes that seem to hold the wisdom of countless seasons, steps forward. His gaze is steady, his stance firm, his presence commanding respect without a sound. He doesn't speak first, but his silence doesn't feel awkward. It's the kind of silence that speaks volumes about a life lived in harmony with nature and solitude. Finally, he asks, his voice raspy but strong, "What brings you here?" His question hangs in the air, not just a query, but an assessment, a challenge. You know that for these shepherds, the mountains weren't just a backdrop. They were their home, their livelihood, their sanctuary. They understood the language of the mountains, the whisper of the wind through the canyons, the murmur of the streams, the lullaby of the crickets. They were part of this landscape, as much a part of it as the rocks and the trees. You take a deep breath, realizing you're not just recounting a journey, but a profound shift in perspective. What began as a physical journey has evolved into a spiritual awakening. You've walked through the bustling streets of Jerusalem, witnessed the grandeur of the temple, felt the weight of history in the ancient walls, and now stand humbled before the simplicity of a shepherd's life. You recall the initial scorn, the derision directed at those who chose faith over fortune, who opted for prayer over politics, who valued the divine over the temporal. You remember the laughter at the temple, the snickers at the altar, the whispers of folly. But here, amidst the stars and the sheep, surrounded by the silence of the desert, you find understanding. You realize that true strength doesn't always lie in chariots or armies, but in the quiet courage of those who seek solace in faith. As you respond to the shepherd's question, your words carry the weight of your journey, the echo of footsteps on ancient paths. You speak not just as a traveler, but as a seeker, someone who has journeyed through the labyrinth of human ambition, only to find peace in the company of stars and shepherds. You know that your journey is far from over. The road ahead may still be fraught with challenges, uncertainties, and dangers, but you carry within you the quiet strength of the faithful, the resilience of the steadfast. And whenever doubts creep in, you will return to this moment under the desert sky, where faith found solace in the symphony of the spheres. Isaiah's life-scanning vision in the temple. You're there with him. If you're new here, we break down faith, pop culture, and everything in between. So let's dive right in. And we're back in Jerusalem, the city where ancient history and divine revelation collide like old friends catching up over a cup of sweet grape juice. Now, remember the last time we left off? We were hanging out with Isaiah the prophet, who is about to have a vision so epic it'll make your jaw drop faster than an avocado toast Instagram post. Today, we're taking it up a notch, because guess what? Isaiah's world is about to do a plot twist worthy of M. Night Shyamalan. No, really. It's like when you're rewatching a show and the character you thought was the hero turns out to be the villain's sidekick. You're going to witness something that will make you question everything you thought you knew about prophets, visions, and, well, life itself. Spoiler alert, though it involves a lot of fire, some questionable job descriptions, and a healthy dose of weight. Did that just happen? And since you're here, you might as well grab some popcorn because we're about to find out what happens next. Now, the setting is crucial here. You're inside Jerusalem's temple, the kind of place where incense fills the air, not as background music, but as a thick, swirling fog machine at a rock concert. The stone walls seem to hold centuries of prayers, and flickering oil lamps cast shadows that dance like they've got a secret. It's not just a building, it's a portal to the divine, or at least that's what it feels like. You're standing there, feeling the rough texture of ancient stones beneath your fingers, listening to the soft murmur of worshippers, when suddenly, bam, something shifts. The air grows heavy like a pregnant pause in a tense conversation, and you turn to Isaiah to find his eyes wide, like he's just seen a plot twist nobody else saw coming. Turns out he has, and it's all thanks to King Uzziah, whose death has thrown Judah for a loop. Think of it like when your favorite show gets cancelled mid-season, leaving you with a million questions and a fridge full of forgotten takeout. That's the vibe in Judah. They're still reeling from Uzziah's exit, trying to figure out what comes next. Kinda like you after your morning coffee kicks in and you realize you forgot to pay your electric bill. But for Isaiah, this moment of uncertainty is like a pregnant pause before the main event. The news of Uzziah's death ripples through the temple, making whispers as people process what it means for Judah's future. Some folks might think it's a time of mourning, others might wonder who's next in line. But Isaiah's mind is elsewhere, like when you're at a party, pretending to mingle while your mind is on the 3 missed calls from your favorite food delivery app. But instead of food, he's about to get a divine serving of perspective. See, the thing about prophecies is they're rarely what you expect. They're like those limited edition sneakers you buy online only to find out they come with socks. Nobody asked for, but here's the kicker. It's not a small vision. Oh, no. We're talking about something that'll change Isaiah's life forever. Imagine sitting in your favorite chair sipping a nice cup of herbal tea, when suddenly the walls of your house dissolve, revealing a view of Mount Fuji. That's the kind of monumental shift we're dealing with. You can almost feel the energy in the temple crackling like static before a lightning strike. Then bam, the unexpected happens. You witness something so incredible, so outside the realm of normal human experience that you question whether you're dreaming, having a stroke, or finally getting that promotion you've been waiting for. Let's face it, we've all secretly fantasized about those kinds of plot twists. Life takes a sudden swerve and before you know it, you're either on a tropical island with a mystery box or stuck in a world where you have superpowers but cooey and figure out how to use them. But here's the real-life version of that fantasy, and it's happening to Isaiah and your front row seat. You see the corners of his lips curve into a hesitant smile, the kind that appears when you remember a funny joke you heard last week, but now nobody else finds amusing. That's the moment you know things are about to get weird. Like when the Wi-Fi goes out at your favorite restaurant and they pull out these plastic menus with the specials on them and you silently panic because you have no idea what to order. But instead of indecisive eating, Isaiah's in the middle of a spiritual identity crisis. As you watch, his eyes shine with excitement and trepidation, like he's just realized he's entered the wrong Uber and is headed straight for airport security. In his book, Chapter 6, he later spills the tea. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord, high and exalted, seated on a throne. It's like reading the cliff notes of a crazy expo friend's love life, and you read desperate for more details. But for Isaiah, it's a divine wake-up call. He's no longer just a guy standing in a temple. He is witnessing the kind of thing that makes you question whether you should invest in bunker, supplies, or start writing a will. Even if you have unfinished that bucket list, you can picture the scene now. God's throne room, a place where the fabric of reality seems to fray and unravel, revealing glimpses of the divine that mortals aren't supposed to see. It's like walking into a virtual reality gaming convention where everything is hyperdimensional and your phone battery icon looks like it's about to explode. There he is, God himself, looking like the kind of dad who brings snacks to the kids' soccer game and doesn't complain about anyone stealing his chair. Except in this case, he is sitting on a throne that'll make a billionaire's leather office chair look like a child's plaything. His robe stretches beyond the limits of human tailoring, spilling across the floor like a velvet tsunami, and above the throne, seraphim with 6 wings are hovering like celestial drones. You can almost hear them saying, "Good morning, sunshine. Hope you die today because we don't actually talk to people anymore." Above the roar of the seraphim chanting, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty," you hear the unmistakable sound of a trombone solo. Yeah, it's like the most metal funeral ever, and then the bass drops. Isaiah is trembling, his face ashen like he just found out the rent has doubled and his landlord is a serial killer. He'd want to reach out and touch him, but it's like trying to connect with someone in a parallel universe where emotions are experienced through interpretive dance. You know you should leave, but it's like that friend who always shows up late to the party and stays for the good stuff. You can't help but stick around to see how this pans out. The air is thick with anticipation, like the moment before your favorite roller coaster drops and you realize you forgot to put your phone away. This isn't your average Tuesday, and you know it. As you watch, Isaiah starts to realize something profound. This isn't just a vision, It's a life-altering epiphany, the kind that makes you question whether you should pack it all in and join the circus or run for president of the United States wearing nothing but a banana peel and a dream. But for Isaiah, it's about facing his fears and accepting his calling. You can feel the weight of his decision pressing down on you, heavy as a bad Yelp review from Gordon Ramsay. Will he embrace his newfound purpose or spend the rest of his days wondering what could have been? Well, since you're here, you won't miss the answer. Stay tuned because we're about to find out. Isaiah's life-changing encounter. Watch as a seraphim touches his lips and sends him on a divine mission. And that electric buzz from Isaiah's vision, like you've stepped into a sci-fi movie with a divine director's cut. The seraphim are still hovering, their 6 wings fluttering like otherworldly drones, and God's throne looms so grand it makes your brain You're right beside Isaiah, whose face is a mix of awe and panic, like he's just realized he's underdressed for a cosmic red carpet, the ground still trembling from the seraphim's holy, holy, holy chant, and you feel it in your bones, like bass at a festival that's just a bit too loud. King Uzziah's death has left Judah, but Isaiah's about to get a spiritual glow-up that'll change his life on Judah's forever. You're here for it, heart-racing, wondering if you survive a moment this intense, or just faint like a Victorian lady in a tight corset. The temple's alive with sensory overload, smoke curling from altars, the scent of charred wood and myrrh stinging your nose, and the faint clink of priests' robes brushing stone floors. You're trying to process God's massive presence, his robes spilling like an endless velvet ocean, when Isaiah's voice cracks the silence. He's freaking out, muttering, "Woe to me, I'm ruined," like he's just seen his final exam grade and it's a big fat 0. In his book, chapter 6, he spills why. "I'm a man of unclean lips, living among a people of unclean lips." You get it. Standing in God's glow is like holding your life up to a 4,000 spotlight. Every flaw, every snarky comment you've ever made feels like it's projected on a jumbotron. You're half tempted to whisper, "Same, buddy," but the moment's too heavy for quips. Here's what's happening. Isaiah's hit with a gut punch of realizing he's not pure enough for this divine. Judah's been slacking, chasing idols and gold like their Black Friday deals, and Isaiah knows he's part of this messy crew. You feel his dread, like when you're called to the principal's office and have no clue what you did. But then, plod, twister, seraphim swoops down, clutching a glowing coal from the altar, hot enough to make you wince just looking at it. The angel touches it to Isaiah's lips, and you can almost hear the sizzle, like bacon on a skillet. Chapter 6 says it best. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for. It's not just a cleanse, it's a full-on spiritual reset, like wiping your phone and starting fresh without losing your memes. Here, there's a quirky tidbit. That coal wasn't just any fire, it came from the temple's altar, where sacrifices burned to atone for sins. It's like the ancient version of a cosmic purifying Isaiah in a way that screams, "You're hired." But let's fix that resume first. You're watching this unfold, feeling the heat from that coal, and it's wild to think something so painful could be so transformative. Isaiah's probably thinking, "Okay, that hurt, but I'm not complaining." You're re-impressed by his grit. Most of us would be bolted at the sight of a fiery angel with tongs. It's like signing up for a dentist appointment and a therapy session in one go. A big historical moment ties in here. Isaiah's death, around 740 BCE, did unjust shake Judah's politics. It left the temple in a weird limbo as priests scrambled to keep rituals steady amid royal drama. Historians still debate how much his prideful temple's stunt burning incense like he was a priest messed with Judah's spiritual vibe. You remember that gossip, right? The king got leprosy for playing holy man, like a celebrity trying to DJ without skills. For Isaiah, this vision's a wake-up call, showing him God's not here for half-baked worship. You're standing there, the air thick with divine energy, and you can't help but feel small, like you've wandered into a boardroom meeting with zero prep. The seraphim are still chanting, their voices echoing like a choir that never needs a break, and you're caught in the moment's intensity. Isaiah's face shifts from terror to relief, his lips tingling from that fiery coal, like he's just chugged a spiritual energy drink. You're rooting for him, even if you're low-key glad it's not your mouth getting the hot coal treatment. The temple's still shaking, incense swirling like a mystical fog, and you know this is the moment Isaiah's life flips. He is not just a guy dodging donkey carts in Jerusalem anymore. He is about to become God's megaphone. You feel the weight of it, like when you know a big deadline's coming and there's no snooze button. For now, you're just a witness, but the air's charged with purpose, like a storm cloud ready to burst. As Isaiah sits there thinking about how he just got roasted by God in the hot tub, you know, aka the fiery furnace, a pretty wild realization hits you. The series you've been binging might actually have some real-life inspiration. Did Isaiah just get a promotion, or is he about to get dumped? How did he go from a normal prophet having a normal day to having a supernatural spa day? Let's dive into our story. It's a stormy night in Jerusalem, but inside the temple, the air is as thick and heavy as eggnog on Christmas Day. The temple, a place where kings get yelled at and prophets have existential crises, is buzzing with activity. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of this chaos. The room is dimly lit, casting long shadows that make everything look dramatic. It's the kind of lighting that makes you question if you left the stove on back home. The flickering light dances on the walls adorned with intricate carvings, each curve and edge whispering tales of a bygone era. As you gaze around, you spot King Uzziah sitting on his throne, looking like a regal dad who's just realized he forgot to buy milk on the way home. He's troubled, and you can tell because even the fancy hat on his head couldn't hide the worry lines etched on his face. The news about King Asa of Israel getting smoked by the Assyrians has hit the royal court hard. It's the kind of news that sends chills down your spine and makes you question if you left the front door locked before you left the house. Uzziah nervously fiddles with his scepter, probably thinking about ways to bribe the Assyrians, or maybe considering a career in mime. Just then, two guys from the royal court enter, and you can tell by the way they're dressed, one as a courtier and the other as a priest. They're about to drop some knowledge bombs that would make even Socrates proud. The courtier informs the king about a new kid on the block, a prophet named Isaiah, son of Ammon, who's been causing quite a stir with his divine revelations. The news spreads like wildfire, creating a buzz in the temple that's louder than a beehive on a summer day. People are curious, skeptical, excited, and confused, all the usual emotions you'd expect at a high school reunion. Amidst this buzz, Isaiah enters the scene, and let's just say he's got style. He's wearing a simple linen garment, which in ancient times was like wearing a t-shirt that says, "I woke up like this." But there's a catch. His top is bare, and you can't help but wonder if he forgot to put it on, or if he is auditioning for a role in the next historical drama. The priest, Shammah, seems to approve of Isaiah's attire, or maybe he's just trying to be polite. Regardless, Isaiah's entry marks a turning point in the story. Like when the wise guy who always makes fun of the nerds suddenly becomes the new leader of the pack. No one quite understands why yet, but they have a feeling it's going to be a bumpy ride. Meanwhile, in the courtyard, the atmosphere is as tense as a game of dodgeball. Isaiah's already made enemies and they're watching him closely. Some believe he's here to save Judah, while others see him as a troublemaker. The stakes are high and the tension builds, keeping you on the edge of your metaphorical seat. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the temple, Isaiah heads home. The day's events have been and he and shake off the feeling that he has just been handed a ticking time bomb disguised as a mission from God. Alone in his room, surrounded by the familiar sights and sounds of his humble abode, Isaiah begins to understand the gravity of his new calling. It is like that moment when you realize you've been tasked to organize the company's annual holiday party and you're not even the office Grinch. The responsibility weighs heavily on him, threatening to crush him like a bug under the heel of fate. He thinks about all the times he wished he had a plan B, and in that moment, he realizes he doesn't. There's no escape. He's in too deep, and the only way is forward. With a deep breath, Isaiah steels himself for what lies ahead. He knows the road will be tough, but he also knows he's not alone. He has the support of the Almighty, or at least he hopes he does. The night is quiet, but in the stillness, Isaiah hears the echo of God's words. He knows tomorrow will be a new day filled with challenges and opportunities, and he's determined to face it all head-on. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear: Isaiah's life will never be the same again. Then a major plot twist occurs. You know those moments in movies when the villain you thought was dead suddenly pops up with a sinister grin? Well, something like that is happening in the story, except it's not a villain. It's God. Yeah, God himself steps into the frame, and the timing couldn't be worse for Isaiah. Here's the deal. God asks Isaiah what it would take for him to keep believing in God's goodness for Judah. And guess what? Things are bad. really bad. Judah is going through a rough patch, kind of like when your bank account balance looks like the stock market after a crash. Isaiah wants to play it safe and suggests sending someone else. But you know what they say? God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. So Isaiah is on the job whether he likes it or not. As you watch this exchange, you can't help but think it's a bit unfair. If God wanted to send someone to fix Judah's money issues, why not send someone a little more qualified than a regular old prophet? But hey, it's not your place to question divine intervention. Or is it? Either way, Isaiah is now the reluctant hero of this story, and the odds are stacked against him. It's like asking a kindergarten teacher to fix a jet engine. Sure, they might try, but let's be real, they're probably not going to succeed. And as you observe Isaiah preparing for his monumental task, you can't help but feel a mix of pity and amusement. You imagine all the times he casually joked about being a prophet, never thinking it would become his full-time gig. Now he's got to navigate the treacherous waters of politics, corruption, and stubborn people who don't want to change their ways. It's enough to make anyone want to quit. And as you stand there witnessing this pivotal moment, you know the story's about to take a turn. In the grand theater of life, the spotlight is on Isaiah, and as the curtains rise on his journey, you find yourself both excited and terrified. Excited because you've always loved a good underdog story, and terrified because you know Isaiah is about to enter a world that's as unpredictable as a clown juggling chainsaws. What's worse, he's doing it barefoot and blindfolded. Well, metaphorically speaking, of course. So how does Isaiah handle this unexpected promotion? Will he rise to the occasion or crumble under the pressure? Well, you'll have to tune in next time to find out. Until then, remember, even prophets have bad days. Just ask Isaiah, and remember, you are awesome. So don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. A difficult mission. You learn of Isaiah's challenging task to speak to a stubborn people. You'll stand in the temple's dim glow, the smell of incense clinging to your robes like a stubborn perfume. The seraphim's chant has faded to a low hum, yet the air is electric, as if you're connected to the universe. Isaiah has just answered God's call with his "Here am I, send me," echoing like a bold statement in a quiet room. His lips still tingle from the fiery coal "Remember that" cosmic spa treatment, and his eyes burn with purpose, as if he's just binged a motivational podcast. Outside, Judah buzzes with uncertainty after whispers about Assyria's looming threat, trending like a horror story on X. You stand beside Isaiah, heart racing, as God outlines a mission that feels like signing up for a marathon without a finish line. This is the moment it gets real, revealing that being a prophet is more solo cleanup crew than glam squad. God's voice resonates through the temple, deep and steady, like a bass line in your chest. In Isaiah's 6th chapter, he delivers a shocking directive. Go and tell this people, be ever hearing, but never understanding. Be ever seeing, but never perceiving. You blink, processing the weight of this task. It's as if God says, pitch a TED Talk to an audience wearing noise-canceling headphones. Isaiah is charged with delivering truth to a nation that scrolls past his warnings, as if they were terms of service. Judah is too busy chasing gold and shady deals to listen, and you can't help but think, this isn't going to end like a feel-good rock. The mission is harsh. God warns Isaiah that the people's hearts will be hardened, their ears dull, their eyes shut tight. It's like trying to sell kale smoothies to a crowd obsessed with energy drinks. You notice Isaiah's face tighten, possibly doubting the job description. He has to keep preaching, even when people roll their eyes, like that one friend always just saying the truth. The temple floor feels cool under your feet, and you feel a pang of sympathy. Imagine sharing life-changing advice on X and earning 0 likes. Isaiah's writings later hint at the difficulty ahead, with people ignoring him like spam mail. You're tempted to suggest, maybe try PowerPoint slides, but no, this is bigger than visuals. A quirky fact: prophets like Isaiah often relied on dramatic metaphors to convey their messages, comparing Judah's people to a wild vineyard or unruly children. It's ancient shade delivered with poetic flair, akin to a slam poetry session. Right now, however, Isaiah isn't playing with metaphors. He is wrestling with a divine calling that feels like a joke. You watch him, the incense swirling like a mystical vapor, and you sense his commitment, even if it means shouting into the void. It's like moderating a toxic subreddit. You know it's going to be tough, but you do it anyway. The temple's glow feels heavier now, like a spotlight on a stage for Isaiah's solo performance. A significant historical moment is unfolding. Around 740 BC, Judah navigate a post-Isaiah world with new King Jotham amid unrest whispers. It's like a company appointing a new CEO while its stock tumbles. Historians debate how much Judah's leaders grasped Assyria's growing threat, but the fear is palpable, like anticipating your neighbor's loud party without an invitation. Isaiah's mission begins in this tense climate, with people more concerned about chariots than commandments. Remember those ominous Assyrian war drums? They sound like bad omens in a movie trailer. Isaiah must refocus Judah on God, but it's like asking someone to meditate during a fire alarm. You're there, the air thick with divine tension, as Isaiah accepts the task like a hero aware of the odds against him. The seraphim are quiet now, still, but the temple feels alive, holding its breath. You can almost hear Isaiah mulling, "Okay, God, but can I get a coffee break?" His determination is inspiring, but you feel the arduous journey ahead, like starting a new job with a 500-page training manual. Judah is blind to the approaching storm, and Isaiah must be the one holding the umbrella no one wants. He stands as a witness, but the moment feels heavy, akin to receiving an unavoidable "we need to talk" text. For now, Isaiah is ready to step out, and you brace for what comes next, as if clicking play on a cliffhanger episode. Hope amid judgment. He'll discover God's promise of a faithful remnant, despite coming hard. As you exit the temple, the incense haze dissipates, and Jerusalem's cool night air, tinged with the scent of olive wood fires, embraces you. The city sleeps, yet you are alert, following Isaiah, who vibrates with excitement from his divine calling. His "Here am I, send me" still echoes in your mind, but the daunting task of preaching to an obstinate Judah leaves you both unsettled, like discovering the fine print of a dubious contract. The stars above shimmer brightly, but Judah's future appears grim, overshadowed by the looming threat of Assyria, like an unwanted sequel. Walking alongside Isaiah, his sandals scuffing the ground, you sense his struggle to deliver a warning to a nation that seems to have silenced God. Yet, a flicker of hope glimmers in this heavy moment, poised to unfold like dawn after a long night. The streets are mostly quiet, interrupted only by the faint sound of a goat or a distant cart creaking. As you pass a closed market stall with its fig baskets stored away, the weight of Judah's situation sinks. In prosperity outwardly present, but underlying turmoil brews like an impending storm. Isaiah's 6th chapter lays out God's warning. The people will hear without understanding and see without perceiving, their hearts as hardened as thou old Peter. You wince at the thought of Isaiah shouting truth to an indifferent crowd, scrolling past like he's an advertisement. Yet, God's promise in verse 13 captures your attention. Even if the land faces ruin, as the terebinth and oak leave stumps when they are cut down, so the holy seed will be the stump in the land. You envision a tree stump sprouting grain as symbol of hope amidst destruction, akin to finding Wi-Fi during a blackout. This holy seed signifies God's assurance that a faithful remnant will endure the coming chaos, like a backup for a crashed hard drive. You feel a wave of relief, reminiscent of discovering your phone wasn't dead, just on silent. Isaiah's mission extends beyond doom. It involves sowing hope, even if it appears as a mere shoot in a barren field. You observe him nod slightly, perhaps absorbing this promise, his expression softening as if he's received a reassuring message. Judah faces challenging times, a mix of economic collapse and reality TV drama, yet God remains loyal to his people. As you stroll through the tranquil night, the stars seem to whisper, "Hold on, this story isn't finished." A fascinating detail. Ancient Judah cherished tree metaphors, using oaks and terebinths to symbolize strength, similar to calling someone built like a tank today. God's stump imagery wasn't just poetic, it alluded to resilience, like plants rebounding after a lawnmower massacre. You picture Isaiah contemplating this, perhaps thinking, "Am I the one promoting the stump squad?" It's a tough pitch, but you're backing him, like being the first buyer of a friend's niche Etsy shop. The cool night air brushes your skin, blending feelings of dread and hope, like binge-watching a show where the hero faces downtimes, yet a comeback is on the horizon. A significant historical moment underscores this. Around 740 BCE, Judah's new king, Jotham, is struggling to stabilize the realm after Uzziah's death, as Assyria aggressively conquers neighboring lands. Historians debate the extent of Judah's fear of invasion, but the tension is palpable. Like hearing your boss nervously suggest a pivot, you recall the sound of Assyrian chariots, reminiscent of a monster truck rally. Isaiah must preach in this atmosphere, where people prioritize war strategies over worship. Yet, God's stump promise serves as reassurance that even if Assyria advances, a remnant will endure, akin to the last slice of pizza left untouched, but desired. As you keep pace with Isaiah, the city walls tower around you like silent sentinels. He walked quietly, possibly replaying God's message, each step deliberate, as if entering a new chapter of his life. You feel the weight of this commitment, akin to dedicating yourself to a substantial goal, with no turning back. The promise of a holy seed lingers in his heart, a reminder that light exists at the end of this tunnel. Although you're merely a visitor, you're caught up in the unfolding moment, like being absorbed in a film's plot twist. Judah is oblivious to the brewing storm, but Isaiah carries a spark of hope, and you begin to believe it could ignite. You find yourself standing before the entrance to Isaiah's house. The events of the previous evening, including his dramatic vision and prophetic call, reverberate in your mind. Tonight, however, a different scene unfolds. The prophet stands resolute, ready to confront Judah with a sobering prophecy. Your steps echo on the stone pavement, mirroring the weight of Isaiah's words. In the flickering lamplight, you see determination etched on his face, a stark contrast to the awestruck prophet from last night. As Isaiah turns to you, his eyes hold a newfound resolve, a leader stepping into the fray. His simple attire, a linen sash and tunic, speaks of a man focused on his mission. There are no ornate robes here, just the urgency of a messenger. Taking a deep breath, Isaiah begins his tale, each word carefully measured. You listen intently, feeling the gravity of what he says. The initial reactions of disbelief and doubt, mirroring the skepticism that once clouded your own perception of his divine calling. But as Isaiah continues, his words weaving a tapestry of divine judgment and a glimmer of hope, you sense a shift within you. Remorse washes over you, not just for Judah's impending fate, but for your own moments of doubt towards Isaiah. The weight of his unwavering faith settles upon you, making your own waverings feel trivial. As he relays God's message, a profound realization dawns on you. Isaiah's journey from uncertainty to unwavering commitment mirrors your own spiritual growth. You recognize that while Judah may falter, God's promise of a remnant endures. This revelation fills you with a renewed sense of purpose, aligning your perspective with Isaiah. The cool night air around you takes on a sacred quality, carrying the weight of Isaiah's every word. Each phrase he utters resonates with the conviction of a man who has encountered the divine. You feel a kinship with Isaiah, not just as a witness, but as a fellow traveler on a path illuminated by faith. His words echoing in your ears, you find strength in his steadfastness, a strength that empowers you to face the challenges ahead. The narrative culminates in a powerful climax. As Isaiah concludes his account of God's message, there's a resounding finality to his words. They hang in the air between you, pregnant with the weight of what's to come. The silence that follows is not empty, but filled with the implications of what Isaiah has just shared. You stand there for a moment, processing it all, the impending doom and the faint promise of a remnant. The grand finale arrives in a confrontation between Isaiah and King Hezekiah. It's a showdown of wills and beliefs, mirroring the internal conflict within yourself. Isaiah confronts the king not just as a prophet, but as a loyal servant of God, unafraid to speak the truth, no matter how harsh. Hezekiah, initially resistant, eventually succumbs to the inevitable, accepting his fate with a mix of pride and resignation. The weight of Judah's impending downfall presses down on you, but you also sense the quiet triumph of Isaiah's unwavering commitment. The final image seared into your memory is that of Isaiah, silhouetted against the rising sun, a lone figure standing firm against the encroaching darkness. His posture is one of quiet dignity, his spirit unbroken. You feel a surge of admiration for the prophet, whose faith has emerged victorious. In the tapestry of history, Isaiah's legacy is secured, his name echoing through time as a beacon of faith and courage. The dramatic events of the past 2 days culminate in a profound transformation in you. You realize that witnessing Isaiah's journey has been your own catalyst for growth. The vision he experienced in the temple has ignited within you a spark of divine calling. The stars above twinkle, as if acknowledging the monumental shifts occurring not just in Isaiah's life, but in your own as well. Standing at the cusp of your own journey, you're filled with a mix of trepidation and excitement. The path ahead, much like Isaiah's, is fraught with challenges, but you're prepared. The lessons learned, the doubts confronted, and the unwavering faith witnessed have equipped you for what lies ahead. The cool night air around you feels charged with possibility, carrying the whispers of divine inspiration. As you take your first step forward, you know you're not alone. The legacy of Isaiah, the unwavering prophet, serves as your guide, reminding you that even in the darkest moments, faith can be the guiding light. You embrace the uncertainty, knowing that within the tapestry of challenges, your unique purpose awaits. The stars continue their silent vigil, bearing witness to your journey as it unfolds. Isaiah confronts Judah's idolatry and urges true worship, starting his journey in the hills outside Jerusalem. After days of trekking, you share a companionable silence with your guide, Isaiah. The sun-baked earth crunches underfoot, offering little respite from the relentless heat. Then a break in the landscape, a flash of white against the blue, and there it is, the temple, a monumental structure, gleaming like a beacon in the distance. When you draw closer, the details emerge, majestic columns, an intricate frieze, and above it all, the divine presence overshadowing the altar. You ascend the steps, anticipation building. This is where God's Spirit rests, where prayers rise and miracles happen. But lately, things haven't been clicking. Each step up the Temple Mount feels heavier than the last, and the usual reverence isn't there. Your gaze drifts to the bustling marketplace, the laughing children, the merchants haggling over prices, and wonder what it would be like to be part of this vibrant community. The temple doors swing open, revealing the familiar sanctuary. You step inside, letting the coolness envelop you. Incense smoke curls upward, mingling with the murmur of prayers. At the altar, a priest is making an offering. All around you, people are gathered, their faces turned heavenward, their voices raised in unison, but your attention is drawn elsewhere. There's something unsettling about this scene, as if a piece of the puzzle is missing. You scan the room, searching for an answer. It dawns on you, a chilling realization. The prophet Isaiah isn't among them. You look for him among the worshippers, then in the courtyard, but he's nowhere to be seen. Disappointment washes over you. You've come to hear his message, to experience the divine inspiration that has become a beacon in these troubled times. Without him, the temple visit feels incomplete. It's like attending a concert and the headliner never appears. You retrace your steps, the temple receding into the distance, and find yourself back in the bustling marketplace. Stalls overflow with colorful fabrics, fragrant spices, and handcrafted goods. The rhythmic calls of vendors blend with the laughter of shoppers. But amidst this cheerful chaos, you sense a disturbance, an underlying current of fear. People whisper in hushed tones, exchanging worried glances. Even the vendors' boisterous calls seem strained. You inquire about Isaiah, hoping to find him in his own neighborhood, surrounded by the familiar sights and sounds. But the townspeople respond with shrugs and apologetic smiles. Not here, stranger. Try the storyteller by the fountain. He might have heard something, and with that cryptic clue, you're on your way again, weaving through the crowds. As you approach the fountain, its clear water cascading over ancient stones, you notice a small gathering. Around it, heads bent in earnest discussion, faces etched with concern. Their words catch your ear. Assyrians, have they heard from Isaiah? Any word from the prophet? With bated breath, you listened, hoping for a glimmer of good news, but their murmurs only deepen your unease. It's as if the entire city is holding its breath, waiting for guidance from a prophet who seems to have vanished. The fountain's melodic flow does little to soothe your frayed nerves, its beauty lost on you in this moment of mounting worry. You spot an old man with a weathered face, leaning against a nearby wall. He looks like someone who's seen a lot of history, someone who might hold a clue to your question. Mustering your courage, you approach him, extending a hand. Greetings, elder. I'm seeking the prophet Isaiah. Have you seen him? The old man regards you for a moment, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. Finally, he speaks, his voice a low rumble. Isaiah walks where his feet are led. Child, he follows the path of the Lord. His words hang in the air, leaving you more puzzled than enlightened. Can you guide me to him? You ask, hoping for a more direct answer. The old man shakes his head slowly. No, child. But perhaps the seeker may also become the found. Look for signs, for messages, for answers, Isaiah's path is marked for him, but yours is yours alone. Before you can press him further, he turns away, disappearing into the maze of stalls and sounds. Left alone with his cryptic advice, you wander aimlessly through the marketplace. Each turn, each face, every whispered conversation seems to echo with worry about Isaiah's absence. Is he hiding? Has he given up? Or worse, has he fallen victim to the shadows that lurk in these very streets? As the day slips into twilight, you find yourself in a deserted street. Shutters are drawn, doors are locked, and the echoes of the day's activity fade into the stillness. You think back on the old man's words. Look for signs, for messages, for answers. What could they mean? Are you meant to find Isaiah, or is he trying to reach you? And that's when you see it. A solitary figure silhouetted against the fading light. He stands on a low wall, his arms outstretched, as if addressing the heavens. Could it be? With renewed hope, you quicken your pace, your heart pounding in your chest. As you near the wall, you recognize the familiar form. It's Isaiah, and he seems lost in fervent prayer. Hesitantly, you clear your throat and he turns, his face breaking into a warm smile. Relief washes over you, but there's a question on your lips. Why? Why did he disappear? What has brought him to this secluded spot? Isaiah senses your confusion and begins to speak. I was called, summoned by the voice of the Lord. His words are filled with awe, as if he's reliving the moment of his calling. He showed me the darkness that is spreading across Judah. I had to come to understand his will, to hear his message for us. You nod, understanding dawning on you. Isaiah wasn't hiding or avoiding his duty. He was seeking guidance, preparing to deliver a message that would shape their destiny. A wave of admiration washes over you. Despite the looming danger, despite the potential consequences, Isaiah answered the call. He didn't hesitate. You're reminded of the daunting task ahead of him. He's not just a humble prophet, he's a messenger of truth in a world that often prefers pleasant illusions to harsh realities. His mission is perilous, but his spirit remains unbroken. And in that moment, you realize that Isaiah's journey is not just his alone. It's a reflection of your own spiritual journey, a reminder that sometimes the greatest strength comes from embracing uncertainty, venturing into the unknown, and listening intently for the whispers of guidance in the midst of life's storms. As the sky deepens into twilight, you continue your journey, the city of Jerusalem unfolding before you, the winding streets, the bustling marketplaces, the towering temple. They're all bathed in the soft hues of sunset. In the distance, you hear the faint sound of evening prayers echoing from the temple. It's a haunting melody that speaks of hope and faith. You recognize that this city is more than just stone and mortar. It's a living, breathing entity, rich with history, culture, and most importantly, faith. The weight of that realization settles upon you like a gentle blanket. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. As darkness begins to fall, you turn to Isaiah. His silhouette is outlined against the fading light, and you see in him a man of unwavering commitment. He's not just a prophet, he's a beacon, guiding his people through turbulent times. You are struck by his quiet strength, his ability to remain steadfast in the face of adversity. And then he begins to speak, his voice resonating with conviction. The people of Judah are lost, wandering in darkness, and I am here to lead them back to the light. You listen intently, hanging on to his every word. Each sentence is like a shard of truth piercing the darkness, illuminating the path ahead. He talks of hope, of redemption, of a future that lies in their obedience to the one true God. His words stir something within you, a dormant ember of faith rekindled. You feel a surge of optimism, a belief that even in the darkest of nights, the dawn will eventually break. And as you stand there listening to Isaiah, you realize that you're not just a passive listener. You're an active participant in this unfolding story. Your journey, your doubts, your fears, they're all part of a grander narrative woven by the hand of faith. You're connected to this community, bound to its hopes and dreams, and in that moment, you embrace the uncertainty, the twists and turns that life has in store. You accept that your path is intertwined with the fate of this city, its people, and their prophet. As the night deepens, you continue to walk side by side with Isaiah through the moonlit streets of Jerusalem. The ancient city is transformed in the soft glow of twilight, and you feel a sense of wonder at being part of its timeless story. You find yourself in the vibrant heart of ancient Jerusalem during the reign of King Jotham, son of Uzziah. While Isaiah stands by his tomb, the city bustles with life. Vendors hawk their wares, farmers display their produce, and the streets echo with chatter. It's a typical day in a prosperous kingdom, or so it seems. However, lurking beneath the surface, social tensions simmer. The great divide between the opulent palaces and the humble dwellings, between the merchants with their fancy robes and the farmers with dirt under their nails, grows wider by the day. As you navigate through the maze of alleys, you stumble upon a group of men playing backgammon, their laughter echoing through the narrow space. Their enjoyment of the game momentarily distracts them from the social issues that plague their society. The sight of children scavenging for scraps fills you with a sense of unease. They rummage through discarded items, hoping to find something of value among the trash. It's a disheartening sight that reveals the stark realities of poverty in their midst. A woman approaches you, her eyes filled with urgency. She asks for assistance in retrieving her ball from a rooftop. As you help her retrieve it, she shares her story, highlighting the social barriers that limit her freedom of movement. Your heart goes out to her as you realize the constraints placed upon her by societal norms. After parting ways with the woman, you continue exploring the city, when suddenly a group of boys begin tormenting a blind man. They mock him and attempt to hinder his progress, showing a disturbing lack of empathy and respect for the elderly. You step in to defend the blind man, finding strength within yourself to stand up against the bullies. The gratitude in the blind man's eyes as he blesses you is deeply touching. It reminds you of the importance of kindness and compassion in a world that often forgets about those in need. You're strolling down a bustling street when you spot a young girl struggling to sell pottery. Her attempts to attract customers go unnoticed, leaving her with little hope of making any sales. Moved by her plight, you decide to help. You engage potential buyers, diverting their attention to the girl's pottery. Your actions pay off as one man purchases a vase, bringing a smile to the girl's face and providing her with a much-needed boost. The warmth that spreads through you is a reminder of the simple joys of helping others. As you make your way through the crowded marketplace, the aroma of fresh fruit fills your senses. You notice a vendor selling figs, a popular delicacy in the region. Figs are not only a tasty treat, but also a symbol of wealth and abundance. The sight of the plump, juicy figs hanging from their branches evokes a sense of prosperity and indulgence. Amidst the lively atmosphere of the market, you come across a group of people gathered around a storyteller. His captivating tales transport you to faraway lands and introduce you to characters, both mythical and real. As you listen intently, you're reminded of the power of stories to transport us to different worlds and expand our understanding of the human experience. Your journey takes you to a tranquil olive grove where you witness the process of harvesting these precious fruits. The rhythmic sound of the gathering olives creates a soothing atmosphere, allowing you to appreciate the beauty of everyday life. The fresh, fragrant olives symbolize peace and tranquility. As you wander through the picturesque streets, you encounter an old man sitting outside his house. His weathered face and gentle eyes tell stories of a life well lived. You strike up a conversation with him and discover that he has been an avid listener of the prophet Isaiah. Intrigued by his insights, you ask the old man to share what he finds most compelling about Isaiah's teachings. With a twinkle in his eye, the old man says, "My boy, Isaiah talks about some stuff that hits deep, things that a lot of people ignore. It's like he reads my mind, except he speaks for everyone. For instance, you've seen someone treating people unfairly, stepping on the weak just to look strong. Isaiah calls that out. No holds barred. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He tells it like it is. That's what I love about him. He's straight to the point, like a good friend who tells you the truth even when it's hard to hear. But here's the kicker. He doesn't just complain. He offers solutions, ideas for change, ways to do better. You know, in a world where everyone's talking about their own problems, it's refreshing to hear someone offering ideas for a better future. So if you want to understand where we're going wrong and how we can turn it around, listen to Isaiah. Trust me, it'll make a difference. As the day progresses, you continue exploring Jerusalem, each encounter deepening your understanding of the city's culture and values. Your journey through ancient Jerusalem is coming to an end. The experiences you've had, the lessons you've learned, and the connections you've made will stay with you long after you leave. The city's rich history, vibrant culture, and the enduring legacy of Isaiah continue to resonate, reminding you of the timeless nature of humanity's struggles and triumphs. Before you depart, take a moment to reflect on the impact of Isaiah's message and the importance of standing up for what is right in the face of social injustice and inequality. As you step away from the bustling streets and ancient ruins, carry with you the spirit of Jerusalem and the wisdom of its greatest minds. Let their stories be a guiding light as you navigate the complexities of your own time. Remember, true power lies not in wealth or status, but in the courage to fight for justice and the strength to stand up for those who cannot. The past may be gone, but its lessons live on, shaping the present and inspiring the future. Now let's chat about the profound experiences you've had today. What stood out to you the most about Isaiah's message? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you're hungry for more historical adventures, don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Your journey through time is far from over. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking questions. Who knows? You never know where your journey might take you next. Vineyard's bitter harvest. You listen to Isaiah's vineyard parable, warning of God's judgment, as you weave through the market district, maneuvering around stalls overflowing with ripe figs, pomegranates, and grapes. The air hums with activity, vendors hawking wares, customers bartering, and children weaving through the crowd. Yet amidst this lively scene, he senses a subtle undercurrent of unease. The merchant's boasts seem strained, the laughter of children hollow, and even the bustle of trade carries a note of desperation. This wasn't the vibrant, carefree atmosphere you'd experienced in the bustling bazaars of Egypt or the cultural melting pot of Tyre. Here in Jerusalem, there's a tangible undercurrent of dread, as if the shadow of an approaching storm clouds the merriment. And as you continue your exploration of Isaiah's Jerusalem, this uneasy feeling only deepens. In the heart of the city, amongst the grandeur of King Jotham's palace, you're privy to hushed whispers and furtive glances. Even within the palace walls, the looming threat of Assyria hangs heavy. It's a discordant note in what should be a celebratory symphony, a chilling counterpoint to the otherwise joyous occasion. The joyous occasion, you recall, was supposed to be the celebration of the discovery of Hezekiah's treasure hoard in the old city. The city should be alive with festivities, but the mood is somber, as if everyone is aware of an impending doom, making merry in the final moments before the inevitable. This juxtaposition between outward appearances and underlying tension mirrors the very essence of Judah's predicament. Like a house of cards on the brink of collapse, the kingdom appears outwardly prosperous and strong, while internally it's riddled with corruption, injustice, and a burgeoning fear of the Assyrian threat. In Isaiah's company, you're granted a unique perspective, a window into the soul of a nation grappling with its sins and bracing for an uncertain future. And as the celebrations in the city reach a fever pitch, Isaiah retreats to the quiet solace of the Temple Mount, seeking communion with God amidst the clamor and revelry. There, bathed in the ethereal glow of twilight, he receives a divine message that will forever alter the course of Judah's history. It's a moment pregnant with destiny, a whispered prophecy carried on the evening breeze that promises both chastity. You recognize the weight of this moment, the delicate balance between divine retribution and the promise of restoration, a recurring theme in God's dealings with his people. It's a truth echoed throughout history, a testament to God's unwavering commitment to both judgment and mercy. And as Isaiah stands there on the Temple Mount, he becomes the vessel through which these prophecies are channeled, a conduit between the divine and the human. As you stand on the Temple Mount with Isaiah, the sprawling panorama of Jerusalem unfolds before you. The city glitters in the twilight, a tapestry of lights that symbolizes the lives, hopes, and dreams of God's people. Yet as you share this breathtaking view with Isaiah, his gaze isn't lost in the urban expanse. Instead, it's fixed on the horizon, as if peering through the veil of the future. He's not merely admiring the city's splendor, but contemplating its fate. His face, etched with lines of contemplation, reflects the weight of the prophecy he's just received. The city's beauty is a poignant backdrop to the sobering message he's been entrusted with delivering. Isaiah's silence is profound, broken only by the distant sounds of the city. It's a silence that speaks volumes, mirroring the solemnity of the task ahead of him. You sense the internal struggle he's facing, the conflict between his love for his people and the harsh truths they must hear. In the ensuing moments, Isaiah turns, his features etched with determination. He begins to speak, his voice resonating with the conviction that only divine inspiration can bring. As his words take flight, they weave a tapestry of both judgment and hope. They are a call to repentance, a summons to return to righteousness, yet also a beacon of promise, a testament to God's enduring love for his people. With each word, Isaiah becomes a conduit of divine will, a messenger tasked with delivering a message that could change the course of Judah's history. As you listen to Isaiah, the panorama of Jerusalem seems to shift in your vision. The city's lights take on a different hue, and the bustling sounds of the city fade into the background. You are transfixed by the power of his words, enveloped in the gravity of the prophecy he is unfolding. It's as if the very essence of Judah's fate hangs in the balance, poised between the darkness of judgment and the light of redemption. But the weight of Isaiah's message isn't just confined to the borders of Jerusalem. It resonates with a universal truth that transcends time and place. It's a message that speaks to the human condition, the perpetual struggle between righteousness and sin, faith and doubt, hope and despair. And as you stand there listening to Isaiah on the Temple Mount, you realize you're not just witnessing a moment in history, you're experiencing a timeless truth, a fundamental aspect of the human drama that has played out since the dawn of civilization. It is a truth that will continue to resonate as long as humanity grapples with the complexities of faith, the allure of sin, and the eternal quest for redemption. And when Isaiah's voice finally trails off, leaving pregnant pauses in its wake, you find yourself in the grip of a profound realization. The city sprawled beneath you, once a symbol of triumph and prosperity, now seems vulnerable, almost fragile, as if the very foundations of its glory are trembling. It's a perspective that Isaiah has gifted you, a glimpse into the heart of a nation on the brink of a pivotal moment. The fate of Judah, you understand, hangs in the balance, teetering between the abyss of despair and the glimmer of hope. In that profound silence that follows Isaiah's pronouncements, you find yourself contemplating the depths of his message, the interplay of judgment and hope, the stark realities of sin and the enduring promise of redemption. It's a duality that has echoed throughout history, a constant refrain in the human experience. You reflect on the grand spectacle that brought you to this moment, the lavish celebrations in honor of Hezekiah's discovery, and you can't help but feel a sense of irony. Amidst the revelry and mirth, a prophecy of chastisement and exile has been whispered. The joy and sorrow, the triumph and tribulation, all seem to exist in a precarious balance, mirroring the fragility of human existence. The Temple Mount, once a place of religious fervor and national pride, now seems like a stage where destinies are being decided. The very stones beneath your feet bear silent witness to the weight of Isaiah's prophecy. As you stand there, enmeshed in the layers of meaning that Isaiah has woven into the fabric of the evening, you realize you're not merely an observer. You're an integral part of this unfolding drama. The fate of Judah, its people and its land, hangs in the balance, intricately connected to the choices, beliefs and actions of all involved. It's a sobering realization, a humbling acknowledgement of the interconnectedness of existence. In that moment on the Temple Mount, you find yourself transformed. The casual visitor has evolved into an active participant in the fate of a nation. The distinction is clear, the responsibility immense. It's as though Isaiah's prophecy has awoken something within you, a sense of purpose, a call to action. And as the stars begin to pepper the darkening sky, you know that the events of this evening are merely the opening chapters in a much larger story. The coming days and years will undoubtedly bring forth challenges, tribulations, and perhaps even despair. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The fate of Judah and its people is inextricably linked to the choices they make in response to Isaiah's message. The road ahead is fraught with complexity, but one thing is certain: the journey will be nothing short of extraordinary. Thank you for joining us on this leg of our journey through the Bible. If you'd like to continue exploring the rich narratives and profound teachings of Scripture, please don't hesitate to subscribe and stay updated on our latest episodes. We'd love to have you back for more. Guiding King Ahaz. Observe Isaiah as he advises the anxious King Ahaz in a crisis. Have you ever felt on the verge of something significant, like awaiting test results or contemplating your life's direction? Well, imagine being in the middle of an ancient city under the hot sun, watching two leaders face off with one about to drop a major truth bomb. Today, we're stepping back in time to Jerusalem, where the legendary Isaiah is getting ready to drop some serious knowledge on King Ahaz. The year is 734 BC, and the situation in Judah is tense. Kings from Aram and Israel are teaming up to take on Judah, and the odds don't look good. They're planning to invade Jerusalem, and Ahaz is understandably freaking out. We're talking full-blown meltdown territory. But Isaiah's got a plan to help Ahaz and Judah get through this tough spot. It's a plan that involves some history-making moments, including a major showdown between two powerful nations. Let us see how Isaiah handles the heat and delivers some hard truths that could change the course of history. You and Isaiah navigate through Jerusalem, dodging merchants and their wares as you journey to the royal palace. A sense of urgency surrounds you, like a ticking clock as you approach the imposing structure. You know that the fate of Judah hangs in the balance. Passing through ornate gates, you enter the court where servants bustle about, their hushed voices carrying snippets of the brewing crisis. The weight of the impending showdown with Syria and Israel presses down on you. In the throne room, you find King Ahaz seated regally, though his demeanor speaks of deep worry. Despite his troubled state, you notice a glimmer of hope in his eyes, perhaps a small ember of faith waiting for Isaiah to fan it into a flame. As Isaiah steps forward, his presence commands attention. The room falls silent, amplifying the intensity of the moment. He knows that what he's about to say will echo through history, and he speaks with unwavering conviction. Beware, the Lord will stir up high and strong against you, Choma and Passa, like an insatiable fire devouring the fullness of your grain and the flow of your milk. His words hang in the air, painting a vivid picture of the challenges that lie ahead. The kings of Aram and Israel, Remaliah and Pekahiah, loom like dark clouds on the horizon. Their alliance poses a significant threat, and Isaiah doesn't mince words in describing their formidable power. The mention of high and strong suggests both physical strength and strategic alliances, while the imagery of fire devouring grain and milk emphasizes the intensity and destructive potential of the coming conflict. Ahaz, seated on his throne, embodies the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The imagery of fullness of your grain alludes to Judah's prosperity and the abundance that could be lost. As the prophecy unfolds, you can almost feel the heat of the impending conflict seeping into the very walls of the palace. Woe to the rebellious children, Isaiah continues, his voice echoing with disappointment. They plot and scheme, but not by my law. They come to a halt, not by my teachings. They are a nation. The prophecy broadens its scope, shifting from the external threats posed by the kings of Syria and Israel to the internal state of Judah. Here, Isaiah turns his attention to the people of Judah, whom he refers to as rebellious children. This shift underscores the multifaceted nature of the crisis facing Judah. It's not merely an external battle, but also a struggle between faith and rebellion. The concept of plotting and scheming suggests a sense of desperation, as if Judah's leaders are grasping at straws in the face of overwhelming odds. The absence of divine guidance in their plans is highlighted by the phrase, "Not by my law, they come to a halt, not by my teaching." This sets the stage for a stark contrast between those who turn to God for guidance and those who forge their own path. By calling Judah a nation, Isaiah emphasizes the dire consequences of rejecting divine guidance, setting the stage for the profound impact their choices will have on their future. As Isaiah concludes his prophecy, he paints a grim picture of the fate that awaits the kings of Aram and Israel. "Hear now, O king of Assyria," the Lord says, "do not join the conspiracy of these cities, for surely this whole intent shall come to naught. Even if you toil until you fall, you will not be saved." He addresses the third player in this complex web of conflict, the Assyrian Empire. To understand Isaiah's message here, let's break down his words. He urges the Assyrian king to stay clear of Judah's affairs, warning that any involvement will lead to nothing. This passage reveals a lot about international relations in the ancient world, highlighting the precarious balance of power that existed between these kingdoms. Judah was caught in a web of competing interests, and the Assyrian Empire's decision to intervene could have tipped the scales dramatically. Isaiah's words carry an undeniable authority, urging the Assyrian king to resist the temptation of joining the fray. The prophecy takes on an air of finality with the phrase, "You will not be saved." In essence, Isaiah is issuing a warning that if the Assyrians do intervene, they will face inevitable ruin. It's a stark reminder of the potential consequences of defying divine will. In the ensuing silence, you can almost hear a pin drop as Ahaz absorbs the gravity of Isaiah's prophecy. His demeanor shifts, reflecting the weight of the impending challenges and the stark warning directed towards the Assyrian Empire. There's a hint of fear in his eyes, but also a spark of determination. As a leader, he must now weigh the gravity of the situation, strategize, and make decisions that will shape the future of his kingdom. You know that the fate of Judah hangs in the balance, but amid the tension, there's something else in the air, a quiet determination. You see, Ahaz is a man of action, and although the prophecy has painted a daunting picture, it hasn't broken his spirit. Instead, it served as a wake-up call, a catalyst for him to rally his people, bolster defenses, and prepare for whatever challenges lie ahead. At that pivotal moment, you feel the weight of history pressing down on you. The clash between faith and doubt, between obedience and rebellion, is a timeless struggle that resonates even in today's world. It's a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the choices we make, the beliefs we hold, and the actions we take can shape our destinies and leave an indelible mark on history. The fate of Judah hangs in the balance, and the story is far from over. So grab onto your prophetic hats, dear viewers, because we're about to embark on a time-traveling adventure that'll leave you. Our next stop is none other than the celestial abode of the divine. Imagine standing right in the presence of the Almighty, witnessing firsthand the majestic heavenly council. Now that's what we're bringing to your screens. Don't miss this chance to see heaven like never before. Click the link below and be among the first to experience this awe-inspiring journey. But wait, there's more. We've also got another captivating video lined up for you. Join us as we explore the depths of human emotion and the complexities of biblical tales. It's a thought-provoking journey that'll leave you pondering the mysteries of life. So, choose wisely, dear viewers. Will you venture to heaven or delve into the depths of human emotions? Or why not do both? Click the links below and decide for yourself. Your choices, your journey. Don't forget to share your thoughts. Isaiah's prophecy of a virgin-born child named Emmanuel is remarkable. Last time, we concluded our exploration of Isaiah with his advice to King Ahaz to remain calm. We also started poking around the prophecy about a virgin giving birth, which has got to be one of the weirdest plot twists in history. So let's jump back into it. Before we dive in, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you love nerding out on all things faith and philosophy, this is the place for you. New videos every Wednesday and Friday. And while you're at it, why not tap that bell icon? Your notifications will be filled with more amazing content before you know it. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, rewind a bit. You're still at Jerusalem's aqueduct. The water's soft gurgle mixing with the distant hum of the city, like a lofi track trying to calm a chaotic day. The sun's high, baking the dust under your sandals, and you're standing near Isaiah, who's locked in a tense stare-down with King Ahaz. The king's face is tight, like he's just read a low battery warning on his kingdom's survival. Syria and Israel's alliance, remember those smoldering stubs? Isaiah dissed, as Judah rattled, and Assyria's shadow looms like a villain waiting for its cue. Isaiah's just told Ahaz to chill and trust God, but the king's wobbling like a bad Wi-Fi signal. You feel the drama, like you're watching a live stream where the chat's blowing up with bad takes. Now, Isaiah is about to drop a prophecy so big it'll echo through centuries, and you're right here, heart racing, ready for the plot twist of a lifetime. The aqueduct's stone is warm under your hand, and you catch a whiff of damp earth, grounding you in this high-stakes moment. Isaiah's son, Shear-Jashub, hovers nearby, his name a quiet nod to that holy seed. Hope you're still buzzing about. Ahaz is fidgeting, probably wishing he could swipe left on this whole crisis. Isaiah's book, chapter 7, spills the tea. God offers Ahaz a sign, any sign, whether in the deepest depths or in the highest heights. It's like God's handing him a blank check for a miracle pick your vibe. But Ahaz, playing coy, says, I won't ask, I won't test the Lord. You roll your eyes, muttering, dude, that's not humility, that's dodging the group project. Isaiah sees through it too, his gaze sharp, like he's about to call out a friend for flaking. Then Isaiah steps up, voice cutting through the air like a breaking news alert. Chapter 7, verse 14. The Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel. You freeze, the word Emmanuel, God with us hitting like a plot reveal in a blockbuster. It's not just for it's a cosmic promise, like a trailer for a savior who'll show up way later. You're picturing it, a child born to change everything, like a new season of your favorite show that fixes all the plot holes. The air feels electric, like you've just gotten a notification that crashes your app in the best way. Isaiah's not just preaching now, he's planting a hope so deep it outlasts empires. Here is a quirky fact. The word virgin in Hebrew could mean a young woman, sparking debates among ancient scribes like a Reddit thread gone wild. Was Isaiah hinting at a near-future kid or the ultimate Messiah? Either way, Christians later saw this as Jesus' birth announcement, like God dropping an Easter egg centuries early. You're standing there, the aqueduct's water glinting, and you can't help but smirk, thinking, talk about a long-term marketing plan. Isaiah's prophecy is bold, like posting a hot take, knowing it'll go viral someday. You feel the weight of it, like when you hear a song that gives you chills before you even know why. Ahaz looks shaken, like he's just been handed a script he doesn't want to read. Shir-Jashob's nearby, a living reminder of hope, like a sticky note saying, don't give up. The city's noise drifts, over vendors shouting, a camel grumbling like life's trying to drown out the moment. You're rooting for Isaiah, even if Ahaz seems ready to ghost God's plan. The prophecy's weight settles on you, like a text you reread because it's too big to process. Judah's teetering, and you feel it, like standing on a wobbly bridge. For now, you're just a witness, the aqueduct's water flowing steady, and you know Isaiah's words are about to ripple far beyond this dusty moment, like a post that keeps getting shared long after it's sent. Alright, back to the scene. Imagine if someone dropped a prophecy on you. No sweat, no problem. That's how you might react if you were me. But what if you're more of an A? Maybe you're skeptical, maybe you're annoyed, or maybe you're just busy trying to balance work, family, and life in general. In these moments, it's easy to miss what Isaiah was really trying to teach us. See, Isaiah was never just predicting the future. He was showing us how to live in the present. Sure, his prophecies were massive, but they weren't some magical crystal ball gazing. They were a reflection of his faith. Isaiah knew that sometimes God's plans weren't neatly laid out. Instead, they were buried in uncertainty, hidden under layers of fear and doubt. It's a lot like today, isn't it? We often try to sort through life's chaos, searching for signs, wondering where God might be guiding us next. Isaiah encourages us to keep our eyes open, to look for those hidden signs in the everyday moments. It's a call to action, a reminder that faith isn't passive. It's a journey, a conversation between us and God, where we need to speak up and listen closely. Remember the story of Hagar when she fled her mistress, Sarah, and wandered lost in the wilderness? Even when she felt utterly alone, God didn't leave her guessing. He spoke to her through a vision, guiding her to safety and revealing her son Ishmael would become the father of a great nation. Just like Hagar, we might find ourselves wandering through tough times, feeling isolated and unsure of where to turn. Yet God is with us, wanting us to know that even in our darkest moments, we're never truly alone. Life is filled with moments like these, times when we're faced with hard decisions, confusing choices and uncertainties that make us question our path forward. Isaiah reminds us to keep our eyes open, urging us to seek guidance from God, even if the answers aren't always clear. It's a lesson we can apply every day, no matter what challenges we face. Sometimes God speaks to us through the people around us, their words echoing with wisdom and insight. Other times, He guides us through our intuition, that inner voice that nudges us toward what's right. It is up to us to listen closely and trust that His guidance will lead us to where we need to be. Maybe you're wrestling with a big decision, or maybe you're simply trying to navigate the ups and downs of daily life. Whatever your situation, remember Isaiah's words. Don't just go through the motions. Open your eyes, look for the signs, and trust that God is with you every step of the way. As you journey through life, ask yourself, am I truly listening for God's guidance, or am I letting fear and doubt cloud my path? Are you ready to uncover more profound insights from the Bible? Dive into this playlist and explore further. See you there. You awake in Jerusalem around 735 BCE, or what you'd call BC if you weren't on Isaiah's wacky timescale. Outside, carts jostle, merchants banter, and the bleating of goats mingles with it all. You're still in Isaiah's shoes, and yes, you've earned these sandals. Your feet are aching, but you keep trailing him toward the temple, which looks like any other Tuesday. Still, you're catching snippets of conversations like, Emmanuel, it sounds familiar. But before you can Google it, Isaiah throws another Ahaz won't listen to me, he mutters, more to himself than you, his shoulders slumped like an anime protagonist on a bad day. You're feeling lost, like trying to follow instructions in a language you just learned. Don't worry, you've got this. Take it slow, piece together clues, and fill in the blanks. Use everything you know about history in the Bible to make sense of the action. Got it? Great. Let's get started. Before we dive in, here's a quick heads up. This is more than a game. Think of this as your crash course to living in biblical times. You're here to soak up the sights, sounds, and feels of ancient Judah. And if you're not careful, it can be overwhelming. Don't worry. You don't need to memorize everything. Just take it all in. The smells, the sounds, the tension. It's all part of the experience. Plus, Isaiah's in the same boat. He's had his fair share of headaches trying to deliver God's messages. Now, he's a fiery guy, passionate about God's plan. But King Ahaz isn't exactly eager to listen. In fact, he's more into pagan gods than Yahweh. Picture the drama of a dysfunctional family reunion, but with more sacrifices and less awkward small talk. You might have caught Isaiah earlier. He was telling Ahaz about Emmanuel, God with us, a prophecy so huge it could overshadow the Ark of the Covenant. You wouldn't blame him. That's like saying, move over, Moses. But Ahaz is lost in his own world, planning defenses against the Assyrians. He is acting like he just hired Netflix for endless reruns of The Chosen One when God is already writing the sequel. You're here as the guest star, not the lead, but you've got a supporting role to play. To nail it, you need to blend in, observe, and soak up the atmosphere. If you're overwhelmed, take a deep breath. What would someone in Isaiah's shoes do? Look around, take notes, and ask questions. The more you engage, the deeper your understanding will be. Trust me, it's like learning a new language, but instead of words, you're mastering expressions, gestures, and beliefs. Soon you'll be reading between the lines, deciphering glances and body language. Just go with the flow. Be observant, and you'll find yourself fitting in before you know it. Now, let's jump back into the scene. Remember, you're living history. Feel the heat of the sun, the crush of the crowd, and the weight of the decisions being made around you. Every interaction is a step closer to understanding what it really meant to live during the time of Isaiah. Okay, you're walking along with Isaiah, and you can feel the frustration radiating off of him like heat waves off of pavement in the middle of summer. This is your cue to put on your detective hat, because Ahaz's skepticism has left Isaiah in a bind. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to pay close attention to the details of the story unfolding around you. Pay attention to names, locations, and reactions. They're your clues to unraveling the bigger picture. Oh, and don't forget, this is ancient Judah. People here rely on stories and prophecies to understand the world around them, so try to read between the lines. It's like listening to a cryptic love song. You might miss the singer's true feelings if you don't pay close attention. The setting, the time, is crucial here. You're in Jerusalem, the heart of Judah, during the reign of King Ahaz. We're talking about 740 BC, give or take a few years. The political scene is heating up with the Assyrians breathing down on Judah's neck, and Ahaz is acting like he's facing the apocalypse, but not for the reasons you might think. He's so paranoid he's making moves that could doom his kingdom. Think of it like your friend who spends all their money on silly things instead of saving for that awesome trip you're replanning together. Isaiah's trying to be the voice of reason, but Ahaz is stuck in his own fortress, ignoring the looming threat and turning to idols for comfort. It's like watching someone about to trip and you're yelling, "Whoa, watch out," but they just can't hear you. Maybe you've been in that situation before, watching someone make bad choices and feeling helpless to stop them. Well, here's the kicker. Ahaz's actions don't just affect him, they'll impact everyone in Judah. It's like when your friend misses the flight, ruining the entire vacation. So you're standing there watching Isaiah deliver one of the biggest prophecies in Judean history, and you're thinking, yep, that's an omen. As you witness the birth of Jesus, son of Mary, you realize you're not just a bystander. You're a time traveler living history. These moments aren't just in a book, they're unfolding right before your eyes. Imagine watching the Northern Lights for the first time or hearing your favorite song on the radio. It's breathtaking. It's like realizing that movies are real, that the characters you've been rooting for aren't just on a screen. They're flesh and blood people with hopes, dreams, and flaws, just like you. What's amazing is that you're not just observing this pivotal moment, you're experiencing it. The weight of history is real. You're not just watching it, you're living it. In the bustling streets of Jerusalem, you can almost touch the past.